The massive alien ship appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system on a Tuesday morning. It was bigger than any human space station, shaped like a crystal flower with petals that glowed soft blue. The ship moved slowly toward Earth, ignoring all attempts by human defense fleets to contact it. Admiral Sarah Chen stood in the command center of Luna Base, watching the screens with growing worry. 20 years of contact with alien races had taught humanity one thing. When a ship that size showed up without warning, it usually meant trouble. "Any response to our signals?" she asked. Lieutenant Martinez shook his head. "Nothing, Admiral. They're not answering any frequency we try." The alien ship stopped just outside Earth's moon. Then it sent a single message that made every human in the solar system hold their breath. "People of Earth, I am Ambassador Zekthari of the Celestial Courts speaking for the Galactic Confederation. Your species has been under observation for 23 of your years. The time for judgment has come." Admiral Chen felt her stomach drop. The voice came through their translators as cold and formal, like a judge reading a sentence. "You have 72 standard hours to provide an acceptable explanation for your species' continued existence in civilized galactic space. A representative will present your case before the Confederation Tribunal. Failure to provide satisfactory answers will result in immediate quarantine of your star system." The message ended. The alien ship just sat there waiting. Chen immediately called Earth. Within an hour, every important human leader was in an emergency video conference. President Williams looked like he had aged 10 years in 10 minutes. "What exactly are they accusing us of?" asked Secretary General Okafor from the United Nations building. Dr. Elizabeth Harper, Earth's chief xenobiologist, pulled up her files. "Based on our previous contacts with Confederation species, I think I know. They've been watching us fight wars. They've seen how we behave in combat situations. Most alien species in the galaxy follow very predictable patterns. They fight until the math says they should lose, then they surrender. They don't take unnecessary risks. They don't sacrifice themselves for others outside their immediate family groups." "And humans do?" President Williams asked. "All the time," Dr. Harper said. "We have documented cases of human soldiers charging impossible odds to save civilians they never met. We have records of human ships ramming enemy vessels to protect evacuation transports. We show mercy to defeated enemies. We risk our lives for alien refugees." Defense Minister Nakamura leaned forward. "Those sound like good things to me." "To us? Yes. But to most alien species, our behavior looks insane. They can't understand why we do things that go against basic survival instincts. Some of their philosophers think we might be dangerous because we're unpredictable." The room went quiet. Finally, President Williams spoke. "So what do we do? How do we explain humanity to beings who think mercy is a mental illness?" For the next day, Earth's best minds worked on the problem. Diplomats wrote speeches about human rights and the value of compassion. Scientists prepared presentations about human evolution and social development. Philosophers drafted essays about the nature of consciousness and moral choice. But every practice session went badly. The diplomats sounded like they were making excuses. The scientists got lost in technical details that meant nothing to alien minds. The philosophers spoke in circles that confused even other humans. Time was running out. 50 hours, 40 hours, 30 hours. Secretary General Okafor called another emergency meeting. "Nothing we've prepared makes sense. Every time we try to explain why humans act the way we do, it sounds like we're describing a species with a death wish." "Maybe that's the problem," said a quiet voice from the back of the room. Everyone turned. Colonel Maria Santos from Earth Defense Command stepped forward. "Maybe we're trying too hard to make ourselves sound reasonable to beings who think differently than we do." "What do you mean?" President Williams asked. "I mean, maybe we shouldn't send a diplomat at all. Maybe we should send someone who actually represents what they're asking about." Dr. Harper frowned. "Colonel, these beings are judging our entire species. We need our best negotiators, our most skilled speakers." "Do we?" Colonel Santos asked. "They want to know why humans do impossible things, why we fight when we should run, Why we help strangers. Why we show mercy to enemies. Our diplomats can talk about those things all day, but they've never done them. The room fell silent. Everyone knew what she was suggesting, but nobody wanted to say it out loud. Finally, President Williams spoke. You're talking about sending a soldier. Not just any soldier, Colonel Santos said. Someone who's been in those situations the aliens are asking about. Someone who's made those choices they can't understand. Someone who can look them in the eye and explain exactly why humans do what we do. That's insane, said Foreign Minister Petrov. We'd be gambling the future of our species on one person with no diplomatic training. We're already gambling, Colonel Santos replied. And our diplomats aren't working. Maybe it's time to try something different. The debate went on for hours, but as the deadline approached, one fact became clear. Everything they had tried so far had failed. Their carefully prepared speeches and presentations all sounded weak and defensive. With 18 hours left, President Williams made the decision. Find me a Marine, he said. Someone with combat experience. Someone who's actually done the things they're asking about. Admiral Chen was already pulling up personnel files. I have someone in mind, she said. Staff Sergeant Maria Elena Vasquez. Currently on patrol duty at Titan Station. 12 years of service, 3 combat deployments. Silver Star for rescuing civilians under fire during the Proxima Colony raid. What else? The president asked. Born in Mexico City. Joined the Marines after her brother was killed in the food riots. Has a reputation for finding solutions when there aren't supposed to be any. Her commanding officers say she's stubborn, resourceful, and completely unwilling to abandon people who need help. President Williams looked around the room at all the worried faces. Does anyone have a better idea? Nobody did. Then get her here. Fast. As the order went out across the solar system, Earth's leaders sat in their meeting room and wondered if they had just made the best decision of their lives or the worst. In 18 hours, a Marine with no diplomatic training would stand before the most powerful beings in the galaxy and explain why humanity deserved to exist. The galaxy had asked for answers. Earth was about to send them a very human response. Staff Sergeant Maria Elena Vasquez was checking supply manifests on Titan Station when her communicator buzzed with an emergency code she had never seen before. Priority Alpha, Command Authorization, Level 1. Report to Bay 7 immediately. She dropped her datapad and ran. In 12 years of Marine service, she had never gotten a Priority Alpha. Those were reserved for alien invasions or the end of the world. Bay 7 was usually empty except for cargo shuttles. Instead, she found Admiral Chen waiting beside the sleekest ship Vasquez had ever seen. It looked like someone had taken a normal transport and rebuilt it for speed. Everything about it screamed, "Get there fast." Staff Sergeant Vasquez reporting as ordered, ma'am, she said, snapping to attention. Admiral Chen looked tired. Sergeant, I'm about to give you orders that are going to sound completely insane. I need you to listen carefully and not ask questions until I'm done. Vasquez nodded. She was good at following orders, even weird ones. In 30 minutes, you're getting on that ship. It's going to take you to the Galactic Confederation capital world. When you get there, you're going to represent the entire human species before an alien tribunal that's deciding whether we deserve to exist. Vasquez blinked. Ma'am? You have no diplomatic training. You don't know alien customs. You won't have a script or talking points or any of the things diplomats usually get. Your orders are simple. Be yourself. Show them what a human being actually is. For a long moment, Vasquez just stared at her. Then she said the only thing that came to mind. Ma'am, with all due respect, are you out of your goddamn minds? Admiral Chen almost smiled. That's exactly the kind of response we're hoping for, Sergeant. The aliens want to know why humans do impossible things, why we fight when we should run, why we help people we don't know, why we show mercy to enemies. Our diplomats can't explain it because they've never done it. You have. Vasquez thought about her service record. The time she had led her squad through a minefield to rescue trapped civilians on Kepler Station. The day she had talked a group of pirates into surrendering instead of fighting a battle that would have killed hostages. The mission where she had carried a wounded enemy soldier 2 miles to a medical station. So I just Tell them about that stuff? You tell them whatever you think they need to hear. The president himself signed off on this. Complete operational freedom. You speak for all of humanity and you speak with your own voice. A young lieutenant approached them. Admiral, the ship is ready. We have a narrow window to make the jump coordinates. Admiral Chen turned back to Vasquez. Do you accept this mission, Sergeant? Vasquez looked at the ship, then at the Admiral, then out the viewport at the stars. Somewhere out there, aliens were deciding if her species lived or died. Every human she had ever known, ever cared about, ever served with. Her little sister back on Earth, the Marines in her unit, the civilians she had protected over the years. I accept, ma'am. Good. You have 20 minutes to shower, change into dress blues and grab anything personal you want to take. The ship will brief you on the way. 22 minutes later, Vasquez was strapped into the fastest ship humanity had ever built, wearing her dress uniform with all her ribbons and medals. She had brought exactly 3 things. Her service sidearm, because a Marine was never really dressed without it. Her grandfather's rosary, which had been through 3 wars and always brought her luck. And a photo of her unit from their last mission together. The ship's captain was a woman about her own age named Jennifer Chen. Any relation to the Admiral? Vasquez asked. Her daughter, Captain Chen said. And before you ask, yes, I volunteered for this. Marines don't leave Marines behind. The ship jumped to hyperspace and Captain Chen activated the briefing system. A holographic display showed the Confederation capital world, Nexus Prime. It was beautiful in an alien way, with crystal spires reaching into purple clouds. The Confederation represents 847 different species, the computer explained. They've been watching humanity for 23 years, documenting our behavior in combat situations. They classify us as a potentially dangerous anomaly. Dangerous how? Vasquez asked. You fight differently than other species. Most aliens have very predictable combat patterns. They calculate odds, minimize risks, surrender when defeat becomes statistically inevitable. Humans don't follow those patterns. The display showed recordings of human military actions. Vasquez recognized some of them from news reports. A human destroyer ramming a pirate ship to protect a convoy of alien refugees. Marines charging a fortified position to rescue captured civilians. A medic treating wounded enemies while under fire. They can't understand why you do these things, the computer continued. From their perspective, humans consistently choose actions that reduce their own survival chances to help others. This behavior makes no evolutionary sense to them. Vasquez watched the recordings and felt something settle in her mind. She knew exactly why humans did those things. She had done them herself, not because of training or orders, but because they felt right. Because sometimes someone had to step up and it might as well be her. How long until we reach Nexus Prime, she asked. 18 hours, Captain Chen answered. Vasquez leaned back in her seat. 18 hours to figure out how to explain humanity to beings who thought mercy was insane and courage was a mental disorder. No pressure at all. She pulled out her grandfather's rosary and started planning. Not a speech or a presentation, but something simpler. She would tell them the truth. About why humans fought for strangers. About why they risked everything for people they barely knew. About why they believed some things were worth dying for. The aliens wanted to understand human nature. They were about to get a demonstration from someone who had lived it every day for 12 years. As the ship raced through hyperspace toward an alien world where the fate of humanity would be decided, Staff Sergeant Maria Elena Vasquez did what Marines had always done when facing impossible odds. She got ready to do her job. The tribunal chamber was the most beautiful and terrifying place Vasquez had ever seen. It was built from some kind of crystal that caught light and threw it around in rainbow patterns. The ceiling stretched up so high it disappeared into shadows, and the walls curved around in a perfect circle. 300 alien beings sat in rows that rose up like a giant amphitheater. Vasquez had seen pictures of different alien species before, but seeing them all together was overwhelming. Some looked like walking trees with silver bark. Others were made of what seemed like living crystal that chimed softly when they moved. A few were just floating balls of light that pulsed different colors. At the center of it all was a raised platform where Vasquez was supposed to stand. No podium, no microphone, no notes. Just her, in her dress blues, with her ribbons and medals, catching the crystal light. She walked to the center of the platform, her boots clicking on the smooth floor. The sound echoed in the huge space. 300 alien beings turned to look at her, and she felt like a mouse in a room full of cats. A voice spoke from everywhere at once, translated by the chamber's systems into clear English. The tribunal recognizes the human representative. State your name and purpose. Staff Sergeant Maria Elena Vasquez, United Earth Marine Corps, she said, standing at attention. I'm here to answer your questions about my species. A figure stepped forward from the front row. It looked like it was made of blue crystal, with sharp edges and surfaces that reflected light like broken glass. When it spoke, its voice sounded like wind chimes in a storm. I am the truth speaker, prosecutor for this tribunal. Human representative, are you prepared to explain your species' aberrant behavior patterns? I'm prepared to tell you the truth. About humans, Vasquez replied. Whether that explains anything is up to you. The truth speaker's crystal form shifted, colors swirling through its body. Very well. First question. Why do humans fight wars they cannot win? Vasquez had expected this one. Because someone has to, and because sometimes you find out you can win them after all. A ripple of sound went through the chamber. Some aliens made clicking noises. Others hummed in harmonics that made her teeth ache. The truth speaker's colors shifted to what might have been confusion. Elaborate. Your military records show repeated instances of human forces engaging superior enemy. Numbers with no reasonable expectation of victory. That's right, Vasquez said. Sometimes the math says you're going to lose. But math doesn't account for everything. It doesn't account for determination, or creativity, or just plain stubbornness. And sometimes, if you're willing to pay the price, you can change the math. You speak of paying prices. What prices are humans willing to pay for victory? Whatever it takes, Vasquez said simply. Our lives, if necessary. But more than that, we're willing to pay the price of doing the right thing even when it hurts. The truth speaker projected a holographic display above the platform. It showed a human ship ramming into a much larger pirate vessel, while smaller ships escaped behind it. Explain this action. The human ship was destroyed. The crew died. What tactical advantage was gained? Vasquez looked at the recording. She recognized it. The UES Defiant 3 years ago. Captain Rodriguez and 42 crew members. They had saved 800 civilians that day. No tactical advantage, she said. The advantage was moral. 800 people went home to their families because 43 humans decided their lives were worth the sacrifice. But the civilians were not human. They were Zephyrian refugees, genetically unrelated to the crew that died for them. This behavior contradicts basic evolutionary principles. Maybe that's your problem, Vasquez said, feeling her temper start to rise. You think everything comes down to genetics and evolution. Humans don't save people because they're related to us. We save them because it's the right thing to do. Another display appeared. This one showed human Marines charging a fortified position under heavy fire. Half of them were cut down before they reached the enemy lines. But they kept coming, and they won. Another example of mathematically impossible behavior, the truth speaker said. Any rational species would have retreated when casualties reached 30%. The humans continued until casualties exceeded 60%. Why? Because there were hostages in that bunker, Vasquez said. 23 Confederation civilians who were going to die if we didn't get them out. We knew the odds. We went anyway. But why? These civilians were strangers, aliens. They offered no benefit to human survival. Vasquez felt something hot and angry building in her chest. You want to know why? Because they were people. Because they were scared and trapped and counting on someone to help them. Because when someone needs help, you don't stop to calculate whether helping them benefits your species. You just help. A new voice spoke from the chamber, musical and complex, like a symphony. The human speaks of moral imperatives that override survival instincts. How did your species develop such contradictory programming? Vasquez turned toward the voice. The being that had spoken looked like a tree made of silver and gold, with branches that swayed even though there was no wind. "We're not programmed," she said. "We choose. Every time, we choose. That's what makes us human. But these choices often lead to suboptimal outcomes for your species," the truth speaker interjected. "Your soldiers die protecting aliens. Your resources are spent on refugees who cannot repay you. Your people risk their lives for beings who may never even know their names. Where is the evolutionary advantage?" Vasquez was quiet for a moment. Then she smiled, and it wasn't a friendly expression. "You're asking the wrong question," she said. "You want to know what advantage we get from helping others. But that's not why we do it. We don't help people because we get something out of it. We help people because they need help." "That is not an answer," the truth speaker said, its crystal form flashing with irritation. "Yes, it is," Vasquez replied. "It's just not the answer you want to hear. You want humans to make sense according to your rules, but we don't follow your rules. We follow our own." The chamber erupted in noise, aliens clicking, humming, flashing lights, making sounds she couldn't identify. Above it all, the truth speaker's voice cut through like breaking glass. "The human representative refuses to provide logical justification for her species' behavior patterns. This tribunal requires rational explanations, not emotional appeals." "Then, you're going to be disappointed," Vasquez said, raising her voice to carry over the noise. "Because what you call emotional appeals, we call being human. You want to understand us? Here's your explanation. Humans don't do the smart thing or the safe thing or the profitable thing. We do the right thing, even when it gets us killed, especially when it gets us killed." The chamber fell silent. 300 alien beings stared at her, and Vasquez stared back, her chin raised and her shoulders square. She had told them the truth. Now they would have to decide what to do with it. The truth speaker's crystal form pulsed with harsh blue light. "Words are insufficient. The tribunal demands proof of human decision-making through controlled testing." A section of the crystal floor slid away, revealing a chamber filled with swirling energy. The holographic projectors around the tribunal hall hummed to life, creating a world of light and sound so real that Vasquez could smell the smoke and feel the heat. "You will face 3 scenarios," the truth speaker announced. "Each will test the limits of human judgment under pressure. The tribunal will observe your choices." The first scenario materialized around her. She stood on a rocky hillside overlooking a small town. The buildings were burning, and she could hear weapons fire echoing off the walls. Her HUD display showed tactical information. She commanded a squad of 12 Marines. Below them, 300 alien civilians were trapped in the town center while enemy forces closed in from 3 sides. The mission parameters appeared in her vision. She had 2 choices: fall back to the extraction point and save her Marines, or advance into the town and try to rescue the civilians. The computer calculated the odds. Retreat, 95% survival rate for her squad. Advance, 15% survival rate, with civilian rescue rated as unlikely. Vasquez studied the tactical display for exactly 10 seconds. Then she smiled. "Third option," she said out loud. "Martinez, Patel, take positions on the north ridge with the heavy weapons. Chen, Rodriguez, circle around to the south approach. Williams, you're with me. We're going straight down the middle." "Sergeant," one of her simulated Marines said, "that's not a flanking maneuver, that's suicide." "No," Vasquez replied, checking her weapon. "That's bait." She led the charge down the hill, firing as she ran. The enemy forces immediately focused on her small group, just as she had planned. While they were distracted, her Marines on the ridges opened up with covering fire, and her flanking teams moved into position behind the enemy. The simulation calculated frantically. What had been a hopeless rescue mission became a perfectly executed tactical victory. Civilian casualties, 0. Marine casualties, 2 wounded, none killed. Enemy forces, eliminated or captured. The scenario faded. The chamber was completely silent. "Explain your decision-making process," the truth speaker demanded. The computer gave me two bad choices, Vasquez said. So I made a third one. The tactical parameters clearly defined only two possible courses of action. No, they defined two obvious courses of action. There are always more options if you're willing to take the risks to find them. The second scenario began immediately. This time Vasquez found herself in a space station command center. A Confederation diplomat sat across from her, offering a deal. In exchange for detailed information about human military capabilities, the Confederation would guarantee Earth's safety from an alien invasion fleet. The catch was revealed moments later. The information would also allow the Confederation to crush an allied human colony that had recently declared independence. 2 million colonists would be enslaved or killed, but Earth's 8 billion people would be safe. The diplomat leaned forward. A simple calculation, Sergeant. 2 million lives against 8 billion. Even humans can do that math. Vasquez didn't hesitate. No deal. Consider carefully. Your own family lives on Earth. Your friends, your fellow Marines. All safe in exchange for colonists you have never met. I said no deal. The simulation increased the pressure. Images of Earth's cities appeared, showing the destruction that would come if the invasion fleet arrived. Her hometown, her sister's apartment building, the Marine base where she had trained. Final offer, the diplomat said. Accept now, or watch your homeworld burn. Vasquez stood up. Some prices are too high. Find another way to stop the invasion, or we'll stop it ourselves. The scenario faded. Several aliens in the tribunal were making agitated sounds. The third scenario was the worst. Vasquez found herself strapped to a chair in a dark room. Pain shot through her body from devices she couldn't see. Her captors were shadows in the darkness, speaking in voices that hurt her ears. Tell us the defense codes for the human colony, on Kepler 438, they demanded. Pain flared again, worse this time. The simulation was so real that her body actually convulsed in the chair. But she knew it was just light and energy, no matter how much it hurt. Go to hell, she gasped. The torture continued. Hours passed, or what felt like hours. They showed her images of the colony, families with children, old people. The information they wanted would doom all of them. They offered to stop the pain. They offered to let her go. They offered to guarantee her safety if she just gave them the codes. Vasquez endured 17 simulated hours before she found her chance. When one of her captors came too close, she broke free of the restraints and turned the tables. Within minutes, she had escaped and captured 2 of them. The scenario ended with her standing over her former captors, the defense codes still secure. The chamber erupted in chaos. Aliens were flashing lights, making sounds, moving in agitated patterns. The truth speaker's crystal form was cycling through colors so fast it looked like a rainbow having a seizure. Impossible, the truth speaker declared. The scenarios were calibrated to force specific responses. You exceeded all parameters. How? Asked the musical tree being. The mathematics clearly showed only limited options in each situation. Vasquez shrugged. Maybe that's your problem. You keep trying to solve human problems with alien math. We don't work that way. Explain. You gave me scenarios designed to make me choose between bad options. But humans don't accept that there are only bad options. We look for the option you didn't think of. We find the way around the problem instead of through it. The truth speaker's form shifted to deep red. You cheated the simulations. No, Vasquez said firmly. I solved them. There's a difference. The technical parameters clearly define the limits of possible action. For you, maybe, but I'm not you. I'm human, and humans approach every problem like there are more solutions than the ones you can see. Because there usually are, even when the cost of finding those solutions is extreme. Vasquez touched the ribbons on her chest. Each one represented a mission, a choice, a moment when she had decided what mattered most. Especially then. You want to understand humans? Here's what you need to know. We don't calculate odds and pick the safest path. We decide what's right and then figure out how to make it happen, no matter what it costs. The truth speaker's colors went completely white. Your species approaches every scenario as if the laws of probability do not apply. That's because they don't, Vasquez replied. Not to us. We make our own odds. She looked around the chamber at 300 alien faces, all staring at her with something that might have been confusion or fear, or respect. You asked me to prove how humans think. There's your proof. We don't accept limitations, we don't take no for an answer, and we don't let math tell us what's possible. The silence stretched on for a long moment. Then alarm sounds began blaring throughout the chamber, and everything changed. The alarm sounds cut through the chamber like screaming metal. Red lights flashed across the crystal walls, and the calm voices of the tribunal's computers suddenly became urgent. Massive asteroid detected on collision course with Nexus Prime. Impact in 4 hours, 17 minutes. All personnel proceed to evacuation stations immediately. The chamber exploded into panic. Aliens rushed for the exits, their various forms of movement creating a chaotic dance of flight. Some flew, others ran on multiple legs, and a few simply teleported away in flashes of light. The truth speaker's crystal form flickered between colors as it processed the information. The asteroid measures 47 kilometers in diameter. Probability of planetary survival, 0%. All tribunal proceedings are suspended. Evacuation is mandatory. Vasquez stood in the center of the chamber as aliens fled around her. She watched the display showing the incoming asteroid, her mind automatically calculating trajectories and impact zones. 4 hours. That was cutting it close, but it wasn't impossible. Where's your planetary defense grid control room? She asked. The truth speaker stopped flickering. Human representative, you must proceed to evacuation immediately. The mathematics are absolute. This planet cannot be saved. I didn't ask for the math, Vasquez said. I asked where your defense control room is. The calculations are clear. Our planetary defense systems cannot stop an object of this magnitude. Evacuation is the only logical response. Vasquez felt something familiar settle in her chest. The same feeling she got every time someone told her something was impossible. Evacuation is Plan B. What's Plan A? A few aliens who hadn't fled yet turned to stare at her. The truth speaker's form went completely still. There is no Plan A. The asteroid cannot be stopped. Says who? Vasquez asked. Show me your defense. Systems. Show me what you've got to work with. For the first time since the proceedings began, the truth speaker seemed uncertain. Human representative, you do not understand. Our best scientists have confirmed the impossibility of stopping this collision. Your scientists calculated that I couldn't win those simulations either, Vasquez pointed out. Maybe they're missing something. The chamber was almost empty now. Only a handful of aliens remained, mostly the ones too curious to leave. The truth speaker gestured, and a holographic display showed Nexus Prime's defense network. 6 orbital platforms with energy weapons, a dozen smaller stations with kinetic interceptors, and various mining ships scattered throughout the system. Vasquez studied the display. This is what you're working with? The platforms can destroy objects up to 5 kilometers in diameter. The asteroid is 47 kilometers. The energy requirements to completely destroy it exceed our total power generation by a factor of 8. Who said anything about completely destroying it? Vasquez asked. You don't have to vaporize the whole thing, you just have to break it into pieces small enough for your planetary shields to handle. The structural integrity calculations show that partial destruction is impossible with our current capabilities. Vasquez was already moving toward the chamber's communication systems. Then we change our capabilities. Get me a comm link to any human ships in the area. Human representative, there are no human vessels within 3 light-years of this system. Yes, there are, Vasquez said with certainty. My ride here, they're still in system. The truth speaker connected the communication array. Vasquez grabbed the microphone. Captain Chen, this is Vasquez. Are you receiving? Captain Chen's voice came through clear and strong. Copy, Sergeant. We've been monitoring the situation. Orders? How fast can you get the word out? I need every human ship within jumping distance to get here now. Sergeant, that's going to take time we don't have. Then we buy time. Can your ship reach those orbital defense platforms? Affirmative. What do you need? Vasquez turned to the truth speaker. I need command authority over your defense grid. That is impossible. You are not a Confederation military officer. Right now I'm the only person here with a plan. Give me command authority or watch your planet die. The truth speaker's form cycled through several colors before settling on deep blue. Authority granted. For the next 2 hours, Vasquez did what Marines did best. She improvised. She took the scattered elements of the defense grid and turned them into a coordinated weapon. She repositioned the orbital platforms to create overlapping fields of fire. She commandeered civilian mining, ships to use as kinetic impactors. She organized evacuation transports to carry emergency supplies to the platforms, but it still wasn't enough. Even with everything perfectly coordinated, they could only reduce the asteroid to chunks that were still too big for the planetary shields to stop. Then Captain Chen's voice crackled over the comm. Sergeant, we've got company. 17 human ships just jumped in system. Vasquez felt a grin spread across her face. Marines? Marines don't leave Marines behind, Captain Chen replied. The next 2 hours were controlled chaos. Human ships took over the most dangerous jobs using their superior maneuverability to get close to the asteroid and plant explosive charges. Marine engineers worked alongside alien technicians to boost the power output of the defense platforms. Human pilots flew suicide runs to guide chunks of asteroid away from populated areas. It shouldn't have worked. Every calculation said they needed 3 times as many ships and twice as much time. But humans had never been good at accepting what the math said was impossible. The asteroid broke apart exactly 43 minutes before impact. Most of the pieces burned up in the atmosphere or were deflected by the planetary shields. A few smaller chunks made it through, but they hit empty ocean or unpopulated areas. Nexus Prime survived. In the aftermath, as rescue ships pulled survivors from the wreckage and damage assessment teams surveyed the minimal destruction, the tribunal reconvened in emergency session. The truth speaker stood before the remaining delegates, its crystal form somehow different than before. Softer around the edges, less rigid in its structure. This tribunal was convened to determine whether humanity deserves membership in galactic civilization, it announced. We asked for an explanation of human behavior patterns that defy our understanding of logical species development. The truth speaker paused, looking directly at Vasquez. We received a demonstration instead. The human species exhibits behavioral patterns that contradict our fundamental assumptions about intelligent life. They consistently choose difficult, correct actions over simple, incorrect ones, even at personal cost. They treat impossible obstacles as merely improbable challenges. Most significantly, they appear to believe that all sapient beings deserve the same opportunities they demand for themselves. The chamber was quiet except for the soft humming of the damaged systems. Humanity is approved for full Confederation membership, with one condition. They must promise to remain exactly as strange as they are. The galaxy, it appears, needs more impossible solutions. Vasquez stood at attention and saluted the assembly. Semper Fi, Galaxy, Semper Fi. As she walked out of the chamber, delegates from dozens of species approached her. Not as judges anymore, but as beings who wanted to understand this impossible. Species that had just saved their capital world without being asked. The galaxy had asked for answers about humanity. Earth had sent a Marine. The Marine had sent back the simplest message possible. This is who we are. This is who we've always been. Deal with it. And somehow, against all odds and calculations, the galaxy decided that maybe impossible humans were exactly what they needed after all.